Beyond the headlines. This is World Insight.
Hello and welcome to World Insight with me, Tian Wei. The Chinese Premier Li Qiang delivered annual government work report on Thursday in Beijing, and here are some of the highlights.
今年发展主要预期目标是
The main targets for development this year are as follows. GDP growth of 4.5 to 5% while striving for better in practice. Surveyed urban unemployment rate of around 5.5% with over 12 million new urban jobs.
The Chinese premier already made clear that China is not just following, as earlier, the rapid growth rate of GDP, but rather, amid all the changes and uncertainties, external challenges and domestic difficulties, in his terms, trying to make this structural transformation. As we all know, in any economy, structural transformation can be extremely challenging. Back in 2025, despite all the uncertainty we see all over the world, China has been devoting, as planned, to innovation, increase the ratio of GDP input into innovation and research. Meanwhile, we also see AI applications in sectors across China's supply chains and industrialization. And at the same time, China building its national unified market. And now to mention, try to encourage more confidence for foreign investment and maintain foreign investment in China. We know this is crucial. Secondly, we are seeing China setting very clearly its GDP target for the year 2026, 4.5% to 5%. Given the latest changes in the global geopolitical situation, given the changes of the technologies, and also given the changes of transformation China is doing right now, what are we looking at when it comes to pragmatic solutions? I think China has outlined not only the 15th five-year plan, the structure of that has already made to the rest of the world very clearly, and China is going to follow that plan. It has done three things. One is to deal with the risks. Second, try to monitor the latest situation dealing with the financial institutions and financial entities to see where things are going. Also, to encourage the vitality and creativity of the general society. If you look at some of the details given by the Chinese premier in the government work report, 2026, China going to focus on further SOE reform, state-owned enterprises reform. Also, trying to encourage entrepreneurial spirit in the non-state-owned sectors. And at the same time, devoting more resources to innovation, research, scientific and technological development. Last but not least, there is also tremendous opportunity China to create for the rest of the world, not just for China, but also for everyone who is working with China. The government is central government going to lead, but also invite all sectors to join to move forward. So you can see there are so many areas that China trying to create pragmatic solutions to deal with global uncertainties everybody is facing, and also domestic challenges and difficulties certainly every economy is facing these days. And of course, for the days to come, as the two sessions continue, we are going into details of the 15th five-year plan to be delivered and discussed, and also to see what are some of the most concrete steps in different sectors that China is going to move forward together with the rest of the world. One thing is for sure, China is the stabilizing factor in the world today. The world's second largest economy is on track toward a strong start of its 15th five-year plan, aiming homegrown advanced tech innovation, deepening reforms, and expanding high-standard opening up. So how can the Chinese economy fully benefit from these measures? How can China tap into the potential of three tools for growth: fiscal policy, monetary policy, and structural reform? My in-depth interview with CPPCC member Professor Bai Chong-en, the Dean of the School of Economics and Management from Tsinghua University. That school has nurtured generations of policymakers over decades. You have been arguing from last year that both the fiscal and the monetary policy of China should support reform and, as a result, to promote the transformation of the economy. Tell me more about exactly that can be done.
Okay. When we talk about economic policies, normally people divide policies into three areas. monetary policy, fiscal policy, and structural reforms. And then the issue is how to connect them together. And in the current situation in China, I think it's very important to put them together. For example, we have one of the problems we face is that prices are weak. And we have negative price growth in the last few years. This is actually a big problem. When enterprises decide whether they want to make investment or not, or how much investment they make, future price prospects is an important factor to consider. For consumers, whether they want to consume or not, nominal income is very important. If you tell them that your income grew by 2%, but price dropped by 2%, then you tell them that your real purchasing power by 4%. People don't feel that. They look at their nominal income. So when price grows in a healthy way, consumers' nominal income grows as well. And also for durable goods, if they expect the price to drop, they don't want to purchase now, they want to wait. So price movement affects consumption as well. One of the very important sectors in China is real estate. And it used to be a very big part of the economy, but now it's not doing well. And the most important factor that affects that sector is the price movement. If consumers, if investors expect the price to drop, they're not going to buy. So price movement is so important. Any policy consideration will have to take this into account. So this is one thing. I think in the next 5 years, we need to do something about the prices. At the same time, we also have a lot of structural reforms that should be done. For example, our consumption as a share of GDP is still low. There are disputes about how low it is. There are different numbers, but overall, it's still low. And if you compare Chinese household consumption with that of a more advanced economy or more advanced economies, you find that services consumption is relatively weak. And a lot of the service consumptions are semi-public goods. For example, health. Consumers take money out of their own pocket, they purchase health services. But a lot of the expenses are covered by the health insurance programs. So it's partly market-driven, partly affected by policies. This health insurance program needs to be reformed. We have a design so that eventually they can be merged, but it will take a transitional period of time for that to be realized. In the interim period, you don't have the fundraising. Just the fundraising part has to take time to build up. And so you need money to support the improvement of the health insurance program. And where does the money come from?
That's the key question.
Yeah, that's the key question. And the idea is that when prices are weak, there is a lot of capacity for the government to issue bond, to borrow. When the prices are weak, when government borrows, there is no risk of creating high inflation. If the price movement is normal, suppose we have 2% inflation. If government borrows too much and spend the money, then it can overheat the economy and create inflation.
So you're arguing this is the best time to do it?
Yeah, this is the best time to do it. Prices are weak. There is a lot of capacity for the government to borrow without creating inflation. And when the government borrows, if the monetary authority doesn't cooperate, it can create a lot of problems. So it takes very good coordination between fiscal and monetary policy to make it easier for the government to borrow, to lower the cost of government borrowing, and use the money to pay for the transitional cost of the reform of the health insurance system.
You even argue, using an analogy, this is almost like a free lunch. Professor, how to make sure it can be a sustainable free lunch?
Yeah, that's very important. You have to have deep reform of the health insurance system so that in the long run, they are self-sustainable. Fundraising has to be enough to cover the expenses. So in the longer run, we should have this system in place, which is fiscally sustainable. And the program I suggested only pays for the transitional cost. So if you rely on this fiscal and monetary stimulus forever, that will be a huge problem. In the future, when prices become normal, it will create inflation, etc. So that's what I call investing for reforms. You have to have the reform. Otherwise, you spend the money and then you can create dependency. So suppose now you improve the benefits, but in the future, you cannot afford to do it, but you have to do it because people become dependent on it.
You even argue back in the late 1990s that there were similar practices done by the Chinese government. Of course, the economy size at that time cannot be compared to what it is today. And by the way, there was tremendous pain and challenge at that time when the policy was being implemented.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned the late 90s and early 2000s case. At that time, Chinese commercial banks were laden with a lot of non-performing loans. It was a high ratio, and people were very concerned about the soundness of the financial system. Then the Asian financial crisis just happened, so we were very apprehensive of the possible crisis in the Chinese financial sector. So at that time, if we don't do something about the non-performing loans of the commercial banks, the economy will be stuck. Because when they are burdened with so much non-performing loan, they will not be very active to issue new loans. So you have to solve that problem. But to solve that problem, one solution is to pour money into the bank. Then the risk is, when you solve the current non-performing loans, new non-performing loans will come.
And they're piled up.
Yeah, it will be piled up. So this is the so-called moral hazard problem. When you help people, they become reliant.
CGTN Radio is proud to present Sweetness on the Plateau.
Hello? Emergency! Help!
A radio drama inspired by the true story of a visionary farmer from Shandong.
It's a different war.
Who carried not only seeds, but dreams to the rooftop of the world.
Then let's do it! Let's make it stand!
Follow a determined team as they scale the razor-sharp peaks of Tanggula.
Where's it gonna end?
Brave relentless blizzards to build greenhouses and achieve the impossible, turning the barren plateau into a garden of miracles.
We did it! It's solid.
Tune in to Sweetness on the Plateau, a powerful story of resilience, hope, and the human spirit blooming against all odds.
We made sweetness happen!
Available now on CGTN Radio and all major podcast platforms.
China, a stabilizing factor in a dramatically changing world, is embracing its annual political season. People first, high-quality development, comprehensive deepening of reform, combining an effective market with a capable government, coordinating development and security. How will all these priorities be reflected in the country's 15th five-year plan? What would they mean for the world? Join me to find answers to all these in the Great Hall of the People and in the conversations I have with policymakers, movers, and shakers. Only on World Insight. The 15th five-year plan period represents a critical stage in which China will consolidate the substantial achievements of the 14th five-year plan, step up efforts across the board, and largely realize socialist modernization. The Hong Kong Special Administrative Region and Macao Special Administrative Region are going to align with the national plan to seize more opportunities and contribute to the overall development. Pansy Ho, a standing committee member of CPPCC, who is also the group executive chairman and managing director of Shun Tech Holdings, shared her views on this and more with me in an in-depth interview. Now, 15th five-year plan, what do you make of the nature of this when it comes to high-quality growth? And what is likely to be the role of Hong Kong and Macau?
This is a particularly important moment for China's economic development, and also in the sense that we have already been able to see how the previous two respective five-year plans been really successfully promoted and also now put into real action. This is exceptionally exciting, I think, for all of the country, because we are now really stepping up into going to really see how we can advance and becoming one of the most important countries in the world, claiming our space in the global scene. In the past, I think China had been really focused on promoting just our own internal developments. We have seen that the country had spent a lot of effort putting in really strong kind of development, propelling the country to develop out all the infrastructural and also setting forth and preparing ourselves to transform and becoming not just a manufacturing-based economy, but also now we are very, very, in fact, successful in our research and also now technological development aspects. So in the 15th five-year plan, it's all about how we can elevate. We're going into a new and also a more advanced mode of basically helping to shape not just our own economic transformation, but rather even on the global scene. We are making new partners. We are striking now more bilateral as well as multilateral cooperations with countries. If you look at the words describing Hong Kong's potential for the coming 5 years, you see international financing, you see shipping, you see trade, you also see innovation and technology, as well as nurturing talents, be a bridge between China and the rest of the world. Macau, on the other hand, has also tremendous potential in terms of integrating its economy, but also diversifying. Exactly. In fact, this is our role to continue to diversify. Yeah. And we also would want to, in fact, operate in some of these now new areas like culture and arts, MICE, meetings, incentive, convention and meetings, which we already have demonstrated that through the past decade, we have been able to now deliver infrastructures that could cater to massive events to be organized. Now we are going to go on to the soft power rather than just the hardwares. Tell me more about the soft power. Because Macau is so focused on the tourism sector in the past. It constitutes over maybe 80% of Macau's GDP. So what had been not really made into a key aspect of our competitiveness really is how throughout the past 25 years after the return of sovereignty to China, we've been able to now not only diversify our own economic base through bringing in all the non-gaming aspects, but rather that we have become a magnet of attracting talents and also nurturing our own. So in a short span of just 25 years, we now see that we can deliver, for instance, a substantial entertainment and performance base and attract hundreds of, thousands of people coming through our doors. We could even develop now very succinct art programs. At my properties, you can find a museum, which is a now national grade museum, and we even have a show that is put together by Zhang Yimou, a world-renowned director. So these are right now already happening in Macau. In Hong Kong, equivalently, needless to say, it has always been the capital for entertainment, for creative arts, for design. These are all going to be, coming back in terms of our key developments. In the past few years, of course, Hong Kong had made, really big stride in also putting forth as one of the key centers for attracting home offices.
I would love to focus on some of the points you just mentioned, Ms. Ho. First of all, diversification of the economic sectors in Macau. It was mainly gaming industry before, but now, as you said, it's really changing. What does it take to make this change?
In our case, I think it is very much the fact that we can work so smoothly together with the government. It is a true example, good, example of a public-private partnership, in the sense, because Macau is not that big a place, and we have definitely common objectives. So here, it's really a matter of how we can work together and alongside with the government.
So how did that work?
Well, it's always the same with government. You need to be able to advocate and also, commit. It is both parts to it. It's not just asking. From our side, we will not just ask. We will ask to be granted an opportunity where we will actually, in the end, make the commitments. So we're actually always adding on to our own, responsibilities and workload, except that it will pay off. See, it is in Macau, because the nature of our business is long-term investment. Whenever we were granted a concession, and it is a commitment from both sides for the next 10 or 20 years.
My final question, more about family business. You see, Chinese economy has developed into the next stage with this new 15th five-year plan. But you also see entrepreneurs in China. After 4 decades of reform opening up, it is a generational change. I understand you are shouldering real responsibility as your generation. How do you see family businesses at this moment? Many are facing this question in China. How is it evolve? What is going to be the legacy? Where is to innovate? What is going to be the renewed brand name? How do you look at all of these different factors in a family business, Ms. Ho?
The Chinese economy is developing so quickly and also going through a lot of evolutions. Every single time, maybe every 5 years or even a decade, it will come along with it also some new developments. Absolutely. We have come from a manufacturing-based economy to servicing, and now even venturing into more innovation and technology-driven. So, but all that within only just the past, to your point, less than the 50th year. We're coming upon 50th year by 2028. And we've broken all records in the world. A mature kind of economy, even like the U.S., had taken them over 100 years to be, to come to this state, to become the world's largest and most, influential powerhouse. I think China will become the powerhouse, and as the custodian or as the people who are going to be, in the capacity of managing a significant, portfolio of investments, and who hopefully will be able to, pass down, from one generation to another. I think the goal or the key emphasis would be on understanding that it has to subsist through our own ability to work together with the country's direction. So first and foremost, it is to know the policies, the national. We need to be part of what we call the national team. So we should ourselves herald and also embrace the policies. And secondly, what you want to do is not just to build a company that makes a lot of money. It is to be building an enterprise of talents, of, more on the resources that will go into the next, development phase always, that could be able to sustain your competitiveness. So it is bringing on resources, competitive capability rather than using just financial means. Right. We've turned that page. In the first period, it was to quickly make the first bucket of gold, and then to use that bucket of gold to make more money and to build wealth for just one entity or one enterprise. We have gone beyond that.
Graduate from there.
Graduate from there.
Right.
It is important. It's a lesson that everyone needs to learn. But now we need to move on. And all this have to be aligned with the country's own directions.
Ms. Ho, always a very enriching conversation. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All the best. And that is all the time we have for today. If you'd like to know more, search World Insight or check out our YouTube channel. Follow us on X and Facebook. I'm Tian Wei. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.